on going till you hit the spot. Whoa, I'm a big bag hunter with the bow. She got a big bed, number drop it low. Mama called me and she happy with the grow. Never ever fall for a thotty, that's a no.
Just pop the Kenny about a million options. So the stock and I stop doing agreement. I rock arenas, bringing the peace. I'm bumping that park in the car, pretending I got all the eyes on me. Got a bad baby and she's independent. Too many people older than me, they're seeking attention. When they want me about the goofies, man, I should've listened. And the smell of the money, my strangest addiction.
She tit for dick, I let her lit, I had to dip. I'm off for fifth, I'm all rich now. I bought a whip, I paint a paint, it drive itself. The fuck you think? Yeah, I'm rich now. Hey, little mama, yeah, you heard about me. I'ma pop you like a pea, yeah, at a mommy. Yeah, feel so hot like I'm chilling on the beach. Yeah, baby in the sun like the Teletubbies. Singing low while I pop a bottle off of your chain swinging, clang clang, and it costs a lot. Bitch, I'm always after Guala, yeah, and you are not badass beat. Keep on going till you hit the spot. Whoa, I'm a big bag hunter with the bow. She got a big bed, number drop it low. Mama called me and she happy with the grow. Never ever fall for a thotty, that's a no.
I've been in this club and taking shots. If you got your mask off in the photo, you getting crap. Hopping out the function, the CVS is like a block away. Bought a moisturizer, my ice cold is dry on my face. Don't need that VVS, my ice is fake. Your life is fake, I choose to do it for my pocket's sake. You're basing your opinions on what the major says. I renovate the bad energy, I erase.
Yeah, I don't really ever wanna top. Only really ever wanna top. Guess I'm going back to the side. At least this money never really stops. Hey, little mama, yeah, you heard about me. I'ma pop you like a pea, yeah, at a mommy. Yeah, feel so hot like I'm chilling on the beach. Yeah, baby in the sun like the Teletubbies. Singing low while I pop a bottle off of your chain swinging, clang clang, and it costs a lot. Bitch, I'm always after Guala, yeah, and you are not badass beat. Keep on going till you hit the spot. Whoa, I'm a big bag hunter with the bow. She got a big bed, number drop it low. Mama called me and she happy with the grow. Never ever fall for a thotty, that's a nose. I grind, I make that bad. I search, I find, I take that bad. I work, I grind, I make that bad. I search, I find, I take that bad. 26 sold out, now I know I'm cut out. Always gonna pull out, wait, I'm a trendsetter, knowing real better. Flaming like a pepper, yeah, across the later pressure. Hunt for a bigger bag, I'm after all the prey. Hunters, I'ma play, yeah, hit the buffet. Baby got some money in it, really cliche. Went dummy for a couple years, now it's time to play. Couple more cities that I think I shut down on the world tour, yeah, really seen all of it. 30K merch in a month, and my money come in lumps, and I might spaz, try and sell bit. Ay, wrist so cold, ooh, think I need mitts. Whole wardrobe be filled with free fits. I'ma pull up on your girl, but she tryna spend my shit, so I ditch her hella quick, oh boy, feel slick. I work, I grind, I make that bad. I search, I find, I take that bad. I'm a baby, got huggies on my face. Yeah, I'm not grown up, but my cradle got drip. Why your bitch wanna give me a couple licks? Yeah, wanna flex up, put a diamond on my wrist. No records, only hits, that's some big facts. She a misfit, come and get your bitch back. I won't never sign shit, shut a contract. Always adding digits, yeah, never have to subtract. Check up on the growth rate, lady need to hydrate, so she wanna dictate. 4-point bank rate, money made me fixate, bitch, I ain't a lightweight. Peso to queso, getting rich, yeah, if you say so. Bitch, I love my bread, I buy my philo, like I'm Play-Doh. I work, I grind, I make that bad. I search, I find, I take that bad.
It's not looking good for us.
I don't want to tell you what a diamond ring, baby, you know.
All right. Here we go. Hello, everyone. Let's get these Twitter spaces loaded up. We are here. We are live. Another episode of Crouch Peak. We're rolling. So thank you everybody who has joined me. I am just going to jump right into it. I'm going to start off. I want to highlight just how excited I am before we get going about, and I know this show's a little biased. Hold on, let me load up on the Twitter Spaces. We are going. We talking NA Copium. All right. All right. So here we go. Anyway, I want to start by highlighting this weekend what we saw, which was some pretty stellar stuff. I want this to not go under the rug. The fourth iteration of Mustache Masters is here, and it is gone. And what we saw was another fantastic showing of our CS community coming together and rallying for a great cause, which I think is absolutely fantastic. $20,000 again, which I believe is the second or third time this has now happened, for a conglomerate of individuals who are often regarded as, and I'm talking gamers, of course. They're not very spendy. They're very tight with their money, selfish in terms of supporting organizations. It's often stated that, esports fans love a free product and they don't love to spend. Well, $20,000. Of course, we get Skadoodle showing up, and I just wanted to highlight the good graces of everybody at Mustache Masters. Of course, Ryan does oversee a large chunk of the operations, but I don't want this to come from a place of bias. I think this is amazing. We're talking 4 iterations, over $80,000. I remember when this first began, and this is pretty common for people. Of course, in good graces, you care about these things happening, but it's not like you are super, if it doesn't affect you personally, obviously it's easy to just kind of brush to the wayside. And it wasn't until this year that I really recognized how important Mustache Masters was. Cancer was something that did not really impact my life until this year. I had individuals in my family who did have cancer diagnosis, a few of them actually. And I am lucky to say that, they all did survive the diagnosis and make it through. But, seeing the damage that it did to the mental, to the physical toll. I have family members that won't work anymore because of this diagnosis. And until it affected me is kind of when I started to really put it in a different lens. And, coming through this year and seeing the other side of it, just both parts of it, and then seeing the community rally again, it just meant a little more to me, I guess. So, I just wanted to highlight that just because it is a super shitty thing, obviously, to go through. And saying it is one thing, but actually experiencing it kind of sheds a different kind of perspective. So shout out to everybody at Mustache Masters. Shout out to Movember. Everybody involved. It's just an amazing cause. And it just proves this alongside the Ukraine thing with not the Ukraine thing, but the United 24 partnership with Navi being a Ukraine-based organization. It's just another example of how this is just more than a game, and esports is just it's more than just the competition, which I think is awesome. So I just wanted to touch on that. But the meat of what we are talking about is actually my perceived negativity about Liquid, because I was very much pushing this narrative earlier in the week, almost last week now, coming up to about a week exactly. I was very disappointed in how Liquid performed at the major, which obviously everybody was. We saw the photos of Elige after the elimination game, still with fans, obviously very emotional. And I came this week, I basically, I did some digging and stuff, and I decided to narratively challenge Nitro, being the in-game leader, being regarded as an impact fragger as far as in-game leaders are concerned. I thought it was a little, I guess, ridiculous for the lack of a better term, to see one of his last 17 lands ending above a 1 rating, that being a domestic RMR, which isn't really that impressive. And then, going back-to-back ratings of 1 over EPL Season 10, we're talking 3 years now. This is not a good look. So, I'm pushing this narrative. It obviously gets traffic on Twitter, and conversations are had between the community. And I was fortunate enough to speak with young Lucas. Why you trapping so hard, man? I can't stop, Logan. So I speak with, I get invited into an interview with Elige this week, and it's not out yet. It's going to be out sometime this week, and I'm not going to go too in depth, obviously, because it's not out. I want you guys to read it. It's very good. Very much changed my perspective of the North American projects, specifically Liquid and EG. I just come in with a different light now. I wasn't saying let's make a change, but boy, was I disappointed in this showing. I was looking back to the headlines, the Nitro saying, we can be better than 2019 Liquid. That one was a big one that really stuck to me. And I didn't feel betrayed or anything, but I felt a little duped. And Elige and I sat down. We had a great conversation. And a bulk of what we discussed will not be in the interview just for length purposes. It doesn't fit narratively with what the angle was. But I hope to share the interview, obviously when it's out, and then hopefully in full some of the outtakes. I am fully in again. And I know it's like, okay, that's not hard, right? NA guy, you operate on the NA outlet, does too. But sitting down and having this conversation with Elige, it was really raw. And he was very optimistic, like in every sense of the word, in every facet. And Elige is a guy who is challenged often for his mental. He can be emotional. And, that sometimes has been a reason for him to kind of fall under the crosshair. And after the photos came out and everything of the sort, I was definitely alarmist. It felt like to me they did put a lot into it. And of course, the last interview Elige has prior to the major, we just got to go rework the game plan real quick. No big deal. Let's just go. That's kind of how I was perceiving it. Oh, no big deal. We'll just scrap everything right before the major. It'll be fine. Well, so I'm all gloom and doom. DEFCON 1. I'm ready to jump in the bunker, and he basically pulled me out of it. His optimism regarding the matter was just so insightful. He was able to give me more detail on where they are as a team. Again, without revealing too much, they basically started from ground zero with this. And, it's easy to go, well, yeah, obviously, right? But they were thrust into so many events while trying to deal with this Yekindar situation financially, trying to get him over here full time. Daps is the head coach, and, he's trying to build around a system where, they might not have this star player who is, this guy is a world talent. And, losing him would be catastrophic to what they were building, especially when you consider how much insight he was giving, how much he was helping to kind of shape a lot of that, because he does do secondary calling, and multiple players have noted his insight and what he brings. So yeah, I was nervous. I was super nervous. And Elige kind of ropes me back in, it says basically trust the process. And I think that's amazing. That was so insightful for me. And what that did for me was I took a step back after that, and I kind of took that concept. And of course there's more, but I can't reveal that to you since it's not out. I don't want to go through the, I don't want to go through the finer details because I want you to read the interview. But, I challenged him on Nitro's performance, which of course is a narrative that I kind of established. So, but I was there, so I wanted to make the most of it. We talked about the weight of this loss in Rio, and I was just so excited to see how positive he was, and he credited a lot of it to his cast surrounding him, not just his teammates or his coach, but the structure surrounding him. And I think once you guys get a good look at this, I think you guys will feel the same level of optimism. And it does give me, it did inject me with copium. I'm not going to lie. I was very much ready to take a step back and reassess for the rest of the year and just kind of go into next year with a level head, no real expectations coming into Blast. But Elise did a really good job of convincing me. And I think that product is going to show moving forward. And just kind of piggybacking off of that, we look at this G2 matchup to start. And I do think that this is at least I don't think it's a favorable matchup, because that would imply that G2 are like a severe underdog. Playing Fluxo would be a super favorable matchup. But when you look at this first group, FaZe OG, Heroic, Nip, and then you size it up with this group, I do think that it is better for Liquid. They did beat Na'Vi at the major not too long ago, and I did receive some insight regarding Liquid and Fluxo's experience together, which does breed optimism in that regard. And when you look at the last and only meeting between G2 and Liquid, you have this was not too long ago. And when I say the only meeting against G2 and Liquid, I mean the Hooksy JKS squad. When you size this matchup up, you do see some favorable things, which if replicated, these are clear paths to victory, right? You see OC beating Monacy pretty favorably on the op head-to-head. And just in general, you see that OC kind of wreaked havoc on everybody. He was pretty pivotal in this matchup, and of course Yekindar too, and Yekindar moving forward will always be that. But I look at it because Alish had a poor major, and again, once we get further into I believe this is going to come out over the next couple days, so once we get further closer to that timeline and we get everybody's able to read that, we're going to see that this right here, this 0.98 showing getting like 9 kills or whatever it was, 11 against Maus. Like this will not happen. And I believe that. I believe that this was more of a greater realization of the structure in place, and that they're not there yet. So when Nitro says, yeah, we can be better than 2019 Liquid, I think it's a misperception by people like me that it's not going to happen soon. And I guess, did Nitro need to specify that? Maybe, I guess. Or maybe, my hope gets in the way of that. But Elige clarified a lot of concerns that I had about him personally and the team. And I just carry the next month as we close out 2022 and head into 2023. I carry a lot of optimism even after that Rio performance, because that was abysmal, for the lack of a better term. I mean, that was just terrible. It was far and away the worst performance they had since Yekindar's acquisition, dating back to his stand-in status. And the 24-hour period, the last 24 hours, how I feel about Liquid's successes, purely off of this Elite conversation, it's pretty night and day difference, and I hope you guys will see that once that is released. And through that lens, I also feel the same way about, looks like I have it right here, Evil Geniuses as well. And again, it's this whole moniker of trusting the process that really has me patient now, just because we had such a tumultuous time over the last 3-4 months where it was just constant events, So we were unfortunately exposed to lackluster results. You know, we got the good EPL showing, but then the loss against Vitality, right? That's what we remember, NA fans. That's what NA fans remember. We're so used to clinging to the misery of it. We're kind of like masochistic in that way. But I'm looking at all of this as actual building blocks for next year. So if you look at it like, okay, we are optimistic about winning now, but 2023 is the goal. You get kind of a reformed look through this lens, right? You're challenging NIP on the third map. You're getting wins over the teams you should. Of course, you are getting blown out by like these top teams, which that's something you need to shore up. And there are things that need to be had when it comes to Nealon as a leader. He is exciting, but it's not perfect. I don't love Hext right now. As far as like his nerves, I think he needs a lot of work on the micro level. I don't love the lack of aggression from Cirque early round. He kind of gets stuck throwing a lot of utility, and I'm not super in love with their trading. It's outright terrible. It's some of the worst of any tier one, any team that's tier one competitive. But there are building blocks to go off of. Tim looks great. They kind of depend on him a little bit too much, I think, when it comes to forcing that 5v4 because they're not great at winning 4v5s. Breeze is pretty solid, honestly, defensive anchors. And I think they have a good blueprint, no pun intended. But I think 2023 was more the direction for Evil Geniuses. And I know that's hard to relay because you don't want to admit you're not going to win now. But it really does feel like that is the direction. And through that conversation I had with Elige, I kind of transferred that concept over to EG. And it's like, okay, I get it now, if that makes sense. Now, obviously, you cannot be losing to Fluxo. That can't happen. Even at a tier 1 level when you're just sizing up skill. I think that they have enough talent here to beat Fluxo. But it is what it is. Looking back at the Nuke game on 9Z, there's 2 anti-ecos / anti-force buys that EG loses as a byproduct of over-aggression, lack of patience, just lack of structure and protocol. And that will come with time, hopefully. Obviously, if you can't work out some of those character problems with a player, over-peaking and things of the sort, there's nothing you can do from there. But I do think they have some extreme building blocks here. And I'm really excited for what EG looks like in 2023 because at the beginning of this, I was like, okay, Breeze and Cirque, maybe you look for reasons to get rid of them. And honestly, at this point, I think I'm now removed from that. I think these guys offer enough to keep. And if you just look at the numbers, you're like, oh yeah, those guys should be paid higher. Well, or these guys should be paid less. They should be fired. They should be on, lesser, blah, 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 blah. But again, I think the system, and you have to consider all of the minds behind them. I do think that they have the five correct players to move forward. And I think you give them at least the first 6 months of 2023, see what kind of growth we see through that first period. And then you go from there, honestly. Obviously, France Major is in between the halfway point of that, so maybe you reassess then. But yeah, so I breed a lot of optimism through my conversation with Elige. And that was the meat and potatoes of what I wanted to talk about here anyway, just because, I just think it'll be a really exciting thing after the fact. And I'm going to highlight it once it's out too and, break down all of the extras. So, looking at, I clicked my notepad. That's not what I wanted, but, looking at 2023, we got Liquid, we have EG, and then as like a dark horse, I really do think ATK and Nouns are 2 teams that need to be talked about too more. The structure for Nouns isn't all the way there. They have kind of a wonky system going on with their, I mean, they do have financial backing, which is good. And the George thing, they're still figuring out as far as the replacement. Last night they used CJ, who is familiar with the system. But the one thing that is nice about these guys is they do have a lot of firepower underneath. And the thing that I think plagues a lot of these players is the misguided leadership. You don't have that. And Semphis underneath them is going to do a lot for them. And then alongside ATK, these guys have a lot of good things going. Big fan of Ian and Swisher. Obviously, these guys have done a lot in the scene, just staying relevant. Of course, they are an international team technically, but they have a lot of good things going. And Spray is a good mind who very much, just very much lives and breathes Counter-Strike. And I do think, and this is very tropey, next year is going to be a great year, but I really do think next year is going to reap a lot of growth for the North American scene. And without delving too much into it, because I don't want to stay on here for too long, I do think that even though the advanced scene is pretty weak, like the floor is really low, I do think there's probably 2, 3, 4 teams that have at least a core of talent that, if shaped, molded, and kind of sent in the right way, can grow into something particularly good and at least become something more than just treadmill players in ECL. But that will come with time, and that's something that I'm probably going to discuss further another day, and probably once we get closer to the end of this season, just because right now we're kind of in the thick of it. But we're getting ready to end this month. We have Blast coming up, and then the World Final after that. So it's wrapping up pretty quickly for North America. As far as Dust 2 is concerned, we have had quite an array of content coming out. We've had opinion pieces regarding the major, obviously roster moves, game updates. We have the Dust 2 podcast and things of the sort. So as always, stay tuned into that good stuff. You can follow me on Twitter, Lucas at Dust2. If you're not familiar with that good stuff, go ahead and do that. I try to do Twitter content as best as I can, but of course I like to transfer it into video and article-based formats. Just follow me here. Follow me on Twitch. Follow the pod. This stuff is going to go up on Spotify, Apple Pod, Google Pod, just your favorite podcast destinations pretty much. And you'll see right there is my little header or my little @ sign. So follow me there. And we're just going to close this year out, hopefully with some, at least hopefully some positives with Liquid. I know that the players have optimism. They want to make the World Final, and I do too. I think this would be a good retribution to the major if they went through and did. If they won it, that would be ideal, an amazing way to close the year out. But we'll see. I'm gonna leave it at that. We'll see. Let's start with G2 and then go from there. As far as the rest of this year, I want to get out a couple more podcasts. I want to discuss the interview that I've been mentioning all throughout today. I hopefully have some announcements coming at the end of the year. I've been really busy with extracurriculars as it pertains to CS, which is why I haven't been writing as much, which good and bad, obviously, kind of depending on what you want out of Counter-Strike and if you favor my content, what you want out of that. And for content, I love end of the year stuff because that's when we get award-based stuff. You get rankings, things of the sort, and just build narratives for next year. So keep a lookout for that on my Twitter, Dust2, the whole kit and caboodle. So I'm going to wrap this one up. I got to get going with the rest of my day. I got to get back to work too. So the grind doesn't stop, everyone. So tune into Crouch Peak Podcast, Double Doors Podcast, HLTV confirmed, anything Dust 2 and HLTV correlated, anything that covers NACS and CS as a whole. Appreciate your support. So thanks a lot, guys. And I'll see you at the next one. So take care, and I hope you enjoy your day. For all you NA fans, happy Thanksgiving. I hope it's great for you. Eat a bunch of food, get fat, and then play some games. So see you guys.